Okay, so in this video we're going to learn all about assembly. Now assembly is two things. One, it's a way of working in Solidworks where you effectively join multiple parts together to make a bigger construction. And two, it's also about this concept called mates, which allows you to make joints and connections between objects effectively, how to stick them together and glue them and attach them and make them move. So you are going to be assembling this random selection of parts that I've pre-made for you. You will be modifying some of them as well, and you will be following a tutorial in order to do that. But the end goal is for you to produce, I'll show you the solution already, this here. You'll notice to prove you did it, I've made you modify the backboard and put your name on it and round the corners and change the colors. But this is where SolidWorks is really cool. You can actually create full-on simulations. So I've made a gear box that drives a crank and slider mechanism that moves a piston back and forth, okay? And I can wind it backwards, and I can interact with this just like I would do a real object, all right? So if I push and pull the piston, it moves. That's what you're building up to, and that's what you've got to achieve, okay, by the end of this. Now, very, very important you pay close attention to every step here. There will be places where it's very easy to mess it up if you miss a key instruction. Equally, if something goes wrong and things don't go together as they do in my video, then rewind and watch what I did, and also potentially go back and undo and delete any parts or any mates or constraints. That'll make more sense in a minute that you got wrong. Okay, right, in order to begin, you'll go to your OneNote page and your teacher will point you to where this is, but there should be a file for this on the OneNote. Now you can't just open it from here for some reason, OneNote blocks it, so you need to right click Save As, and then go and save that file in your OneDrive. Now you should have already signed into OneDrive, remember? So if you haven't signed into OneDrive, come down here, make sure you've clicked on the cloud and that it's signed in. Mine's got a sync issue, but it is at least signed in. And make sure you're on your OneDrive and saving your mechanism assembly here, okay? I'm not going to save, in fact I am going to save it because I don't want to edit the original copy. So I'm going to save this in my OneDrive in DET, and I'm going to call it mechanism assembly. I'm going to call it version 1, just because, you know what, if you make a mistake, do it again. Okay, let's go and open that now. So I'm just going to close these two down. So file open, and I put it in my OneDrive, DET, mechanism assemb. Now, fingers crossed this works. Here we go. Okay, right. So just to remind you, because you're going to need to be navigating your view if you don't know how to do that, it's pretty much done with the middle mouse button. If I click and hold the middle mouse button, I can orbit around. I can zoom in and out by scrolling my wheel. And if I hold control on the keyboard and the middle mouse button, you can see I can drag my view left and right. Okay, so just remind yourself how to do that, because in 3D assemblies, we'll be looking all over the place to pick the relevant parts that we need to join together. Okay, at the moment, if you click and drag or try to drag any of these things, you'll notice you can't do anything with them, right? They stay put. This is the first concept I'm going to introduce. These are all fixed in space at the moment. And you can tell that because they have this little F symbol next to them. Now, I want you to make everything except the backboard, this grey thing, unfixed. And we do that by right-clicking on them and choosing float. You'll notice when float is selected, the little F disappears and I can now drag it around, okay? It's very important if you're trying to join 3D things together that you make them float initially, because otherwise they can't move from their location and it will throw up an error. You'll tell it to go and stick to something else and it will go, nope, some random error that I don't understand. Well, you won't understand, but it won't do it because you've left it stuck in space, okay? So that needs to be floated and that needs to be floated. Right, just check they all move. All good, good, good. Now, I've deliberately designed this to teach you about a whole bunch of different constraints, okay? Now I keep calling them constraints. I should probably call them mates, because the tool we're using is up here. It's called mate. It's under the assembly tab, so make sure you're on assembly, and it's called mate. Now, if you click it, you'll get this sort of window appear here. Now, it's a semi-intelligent tool. You don't actually have to choose your mate first. It generally figures it out for you. We're going to start simple. We're going to start by attaching this little gear to the backboard. So what I'd like you to do, just zoom in, don't click anything, and choose this inside cylinder, not the edge, the cylinder, okay? If I click it, just before we do anything else, do you notice it appears over here? Look, that's telling us what we've selected. If you misclicked, you can always right click over here and either clear everything or delete the one you clicked. So for instance, if I clicked the wrong bit and I didn't mean to click that, I can just come over here, right click and delete. So you want to select the inside cylinder of that, zoom out, and this gear is going to assemble with this hole. So I'm going to pick, again, not the edge, but the cylinder inside, okay? Now, if you had made the float, you'll notice that that yellow lever is now lined up on the same axis as the cylinder. You can click the tick to confirm that, or hit enter on the keyboard. Now, just do me a favor and just click and drag at the same time the gear. You'll notice the gear is fixed to the axis, but it can still pass through it. Okay, so drag it out of the way, zoom out, and bring your view around a bit. Okay, we're going to do our second mate of the day. We're now going to pick this back face, okay? So I'm going to pick that back face, it's this blue outline, okay? I'm going to rotate my view around, and I'm just going to pick the face of the grey backboard. You see what that's done? That's joined the two of them together. If I click the tick or hit enter, it will confirm it. Now, just to prove that works, click and drag your handle again now. You should be able to rotate your handle, and if you drag it in and out, it won't come off the backboard. It's bonded to the axle and to the backboard. So this is what's known as a two degrees of mating, if you like. We don't need to put a third dimension in because we actually want this to spin on the spot. But there are other situations where you might decide that you need to lock a part down. If you're interested, down here, look, are the mates that you've just done recently. And if you screwed one of them up, you can just double click on it and it will bring it back to the fore. Okay, and you can change things. You could change which of the faces you selected or whatever. Okay, anyway, if you're happy with your mates, click the tick. Okay, just double check that it's behaving as you want. All good. Right. Now, say you screwed something up then, which someone's bound to because they'll select the wrong thing, it will go wrong, okay? Do not panic. I'm going to show you how to get rid of mates for a part so you can always go back and repeat this step. Say you'd messed something up with this and it was stuck the wrong way around, all right? Don't worry. Click on the part and you'll see that selects it over here in the browser. Click the little arrow and underneath that part now, can you see there's a folder with mates? If you open the folder, here we go, look, there's our two mates. We made a coincident where we joined the flat bit to the flat bit, and we did a concentric where we did the cylinder and the cylinder. And it even highlights it for you so you know what it's referring to. So if you wanted to, you could right-click, delete, get rid of them and start afresh, okay? I'm not going to because I'm happy with it and it's correct. All right, I would like you now, I'm not going to help you, to mate this big fat gear to this hole and this backboard. I'm not going to walk you through this bit, I'm just going to do it. Okay, good. So hopefully you succeeded in that. If you didn't, and it's stuck to the backside or it's the wrong way round, I want you to go and fix it. And how are you going to fix it? You're going to go and delete the mates. Now, I'm going to go and show you, I'm going to go and deliberately make a mess up and show you someone that screwed it up so you know how to fix it in case you do it. Okay, I'm just going to pause the video and edit this to be messy. Okay, so this is something you'll see quite common. Clearly, this is kind of, if I grab my gear, it's stuck to it, but somehow I've stuck the wrong face to the wrong side, okay? Or it's orientated the wrong way around, so it's not quite right. So I want to fix that. How do I do it? Well, we know this has got the problem, so click on this part. Here is this part. Here is its little mates folder. Here are our mates. And we've got to decide which one of these is wrong. Now, if you're really unconfident, you could just delete them and redo them. Or you can try some things. So I'm going to go to this concentric one, right click it, and I'm going to go edit. That's what this little icon means, edit feature. This will take you back to where you set it up originally, and you might notice you've got these options here, mate alignment, okay? Just try clicking the alternative option if you have done this problem on yours. Did you notice what it did? Ignore the error. It flipped it round, so it's the opposite way round. If I do that, it flips it back the other way. I know that the configuration I wanted is this later one. I wanted it on this side. So quite often, the reason your mate's gone wrong, it can just be fixed by just flipping the alignment. Because if you think about it, when you put something on a line, it doesn't know which way you want it facing, whether it's the inside face facing or the outside. It's pot luck. So generally, you would choose those at the start before you hit the tick. But if you do make a mistake, you can always come back, edit it like I just showed you, and do that. Okay. So anyway, we're done with mates. Good. Right. Now, this is all very well and good, but this doesn't move that. Now, this is quite a complicated mate. Well, it's not complicated, it's just a little bit more involved. There is no easy way of making that touch this and move it. It's not that clever. The program doesn't actually understand that those things would physically touch in real life and turn. So all I'd like you to do is just turn either of your gears so that the teeth are pretty much meshed. Okay, so what I mean by meshed is that there's space in between them like that. They're not overlapping. And we're going to go to mates. Now, this is most of the time you use standard mates, but for this one, we're going to choose a mechanical one. So we click on the mechanical tab, and you'll notice there is one for gears. So click gear. Now, it's saying mate selections. That's meaning choose the gears, but it doesn't really make this very clear. You need to choose a round feature of both of the gears in question. So it can be anything that's round on either of the gears. So it could be this bit here, it could be that bit there. I wouldn't do this bit because that's not on the same axis as the gear, but it could be this round edge here. I'm just going to pick this one, okay? And I'm going to do the same on this object. I'm going to pick a round bit that is on the same axle that the gear is, so that, okay? Good. Now, can you see it's got these boxes, teeth diameter, teeth diameter. These are just randomly picked numbers at the moment. Now, you wouldn't know this because you didn't draw them, but I drew this gear with 45 teeth on it and this gear with 15 teeth on it. And that's the ratio between them. 15 into 45 goes 3 times. So technically, for this to work, it would take 3 rotations of this small gear to make this big one turn once. That doesn't really matter. All you need to do in these boxes is type in the relative ratio. So I know 15. I'm going to type on the left one. And I'm going to go here. Sorry, I'm not sure it's recording. Let me just pause and check. I just hit a button on my microphone and I'm worried I've muted it. Right, well, I'm just going to hope it's still recording. If it's not, you'll hear me, well, you won't hear me scream. Anyway, so I'm going to type 15 in that box, and I know this one had 45 teeth, so I'm going to type 45 in that box. I'm going to click the tick just to lock it in. And now, all being well, if I turn this, you should notice the teeth mesh perfectly. Now, if you got that ratio wrong and typed a different number, the teeth wouldn't line up. They would start overlapping, okay? But because it's exactly 15 to 45, we get this lovely rotating mate. Isn't that cool? Okay, good, good. Now, one thing that could go wrong here, I'm just going to illustrate it. Depending which order you selected the gears, you may find you turn this one clockwise and the other one goes backwards. I'm going to just illustrate that to show you the mess up. So let's click on gear mate. It's happened because you need to reverse the direction. So I'm going to tick reverse to show you the wrong way so that you can then see what I'm talking about. So can you see the problem here? They're both rotating in the same direction, but clearly that's not what would happen in real life. All right, we need to reverse the movement. So if yours does that, go in, double click your gear, either tick or untick reverse, depending what's needed, and click the tick until it behaves as it should. Okay, right, now's a good time to save your work and make sure you come out of the mates to do that. I am going to save it as well, and I'm also going to record a second part to this video because I'm not entirely confident that it's recording my voice and I don't want to spend another 15 minutes recording silence.